We are live.
We're live.
We're live. And I'm going to move into a better position for the microphone.
Sounds like a good idea.
You're going to do the introduction live?
No, I
No?
don't do that.
You're not going to do the introduction?
I'm going to leave it to you, Aidan.
You're going to leave it to me. And there we go.
Oh, yeah. We've got something again within the UK. This story is a little bit common, I'd say. Happens everywhere all the time. But what got me was I was reading the comments that people were writing on it.
Don't go to the Mail Online.
There was also the exact same story within the BBC, though.
Okay,
and
but
there was
the comments
essentially
there aren't written by people that believe in creeping Sharia.
No.
Right?
Half of them are written by the BBC themselves. And the other half are written by people who are fucking brainwashed. But
compared to the Mail, mate, they're fucking enlightened.
So, another sad story. Reading these comments, essentially, I got a bit more of a story from the story that was at hand. A fella, aged 33, by the name of Kevin O'Connell from Derby. He has 3 children. He was driving down a motorway, or if you're in America, a highway. Freeway. And a route. He was driving down a road and he come across 2 lads having a fight. And he broke up the fight. He got out of his car, left his 3 children in the back, got out of his car and then proceeded to break up this fight. Now, he succeeded in breaking up the fight. One fella was disadvantageously being battered into the ground like a little bitch. And he come over, stopped that from happening, stood in there, he was like, right, chill out, fuck off, go and drink some orange juice, whatever. And this other fella ends up running away from the assault that he's just caused. Now, this father starts to chase after him so that he can hold him for questioning for when the police arrive. In the midst of this, he's been hit accidentally by a car and he died. I don't know whether or not these 3 children in the back of the car fucking saw this, but essentially this good Samaritan just went out of his way to try and stop a bit of violence, just try and help someone who was getting attacked in the street, and ended up dying for it. Those kids ain't got a dad anymore.
Shit world, man.
It is, but the thing that I noticed about it that was weird is if I saw a fight where someone was getting battered and I was in a car driving past and it was a one-on-one thing, I would step out and get involved just because that's completely ridiculous. You don't know the situation, but you don't need to. At the end of the day, a guy's getting pounded into the ground. This guy's thought the same thing, jumped out, and he's died from it. But all the comments that people were saying on the websites were that he should have stayed in the car.
It's bystander apathy, man. It's always worse when people in groups as well. And there's psychological research on this that I'm not even going to bother trying.
Let's just call it hype.
No, it's been researched.
Fight hype.
No, it's the opposite of hype. So the bigger group you're in, the less likely you are to join in. So a good story I've got is when I was living in Nottingham, me and 2 girls I worked with we'd just finished work. We were going back to one of theirs for a drink, and we were going to the shop on the way. And there was this guy lay on the floor, right, with a pool of generic-looking fluid around the area where his head is, which is never a good sign. And this is quite a busy highway. It was just outside the Victoria Centre in Nottingham, so there's a lot of foot traffic, lots of students going to the city for a beer. And I saw groups of 7, 10, 15 people just walk over this guy. And I've got to admit, for half a second, I looked at him and think, oh, it's just a passed out tramp, and carried on. But you should always look at the shoes, man. And this guy's shoes were too nice and too looked after for someone that lived on the street. So I went over to see what was going on. And as I alluded to earlier, bad shit was going on. there was fluid coming out of one of his ears, which is a terrible sign. And people are still walking past. Yet, as soon as I've walked over and started to like
stepping
pitch
around
a
the blood
hand,
puddle,
right? I've came over and I've started to say to him like, "Hello, can you hear me? Nothing's coming back from them, whatever." And I'm going through like standard first aid shiz, right? People are stopping and starting to watch, not come in and help, right? Just watch what's going on. So the girls I'm with,
was it a large crowd as well?
That was gathering.
Yeah.
By the end of it, mate, there was about 20 people that stopped, right? But in that situation, it doesn't matter if it's 2 or if it's 200. It still feels like there's all people there.
And nobody's doing anything.
Exactly. But, right, fortunately, I'm a bit of a control freak. So I just turned to one of the girls that I was with, who wasn't dealing with it very well. And I was like, you, go call me an ambulance and come back and tell me how long they're going to be. And that gets her out of the scene, but gives her a reason to come back.
At least she's got a purpose.
Exactly. And all these people, man, they're just fucking watching. And nobody actually comes over to see if I need any help until after the ambulances arrived.
That says something terrible about human race, really.
It's because, mate, as you're in a group of people and you look at one person's struggle, the way you view it is different when you're on your own to when you're with people. On your own, you're more inclined to help because you see that person struggle and think, if I were in that situation,
I'd want to be helped.
Exactly. Whereas when you've got, if it's me, you, plus 2 other people, and we see that, we all go, but I'm with my boys. If I was struggling, my boys have got my back.
And that is sort of how we look at the world, isn't it?
And that's what I was saying, man. There's research. This is facts, man.
No,
this is
I completely agree with you. I mean, I've been in a situation like that. It's like, say, for example, someone's been in an accident. I'd be like, well, what a stupid prick there. That wouldn't happen to me. And if it did, I'd be with someone who'd sort me out.
Yeah, it's...
Another story, for example, when I was younger, I ended up getting hit by a car while I was on my bicycle. I got knocked off. I was unconscious lying in the road. There was a large amount of people gathering around me to try and help me. Not one of them helped me at all. And I seriously, 2 guys were stood behind me, shooing me in my back, laughing, going, he's dead. Wipe out. Oh, that's terrible. At this point, one of my friends who happened to be in the area, luckily, fucking picked me up and took me to somewhere quiet where I could sit down and wait for an ambulance. And he was like, oh, you'll be all right, Lou, don't worry about it. While I was just rolling across his shoulders, just unconscious, waiting for God to give me a sign.
It's stupid.
And nobody helped at all. And it's terrible, really. But everyone has the same attitude of just, no, don't help. At the end of the day, do what you're doing.
It's
Go
not my
about your
problem.
day. It's not your problem. And it's sort of right at the same time because these bad things happen all the time. Like last year, an Indian student who went to university within the UK
In Salford, yeah, I remember
was
this.
asked for the time by somebody on the street. And as he turned around to tell him the time, he got shot in the face.
In Salford. I remember that.
Shot in the face. And he went to prison and court. A few weeks after, the person that did it ended up getting a facial tattoo of a tear.
Celebrating.
Yeah, all proud, like, look what I've accomplished. I killed somebody who was unsuspecting.
It was also racially motivated.
Yeah, they believe so.
He killed him, quote, because he was a Paki, end quote.
Also, they were giving him mental evaluations, and he had a bit of a fucked up psychosis going on. Just no care for human life.
Yeah, but still,
all about looking big for the
Yeah.
boys on the yard.
exactly. There's a difference between like psychopathological problems and just being a twat. That was a pretty good note to end that story on.
Very, very good. So y'all can learn something from that.
That's what we aim to do here.
Just open your eyes a little bit.
Badly entertain, badly educate, moving forward all the time.